UFC 267, Blachowicz versus Teixeira. Full card prediction, every single fight on this pay-per-view, and I'm putting it in quotations because we don't even have to pay for the pay-per-view, which is absolutely insane. The absolutely stacked card with Blachowicz Teixeira in the main event, 5 rounds for the light heavyweight belt. Corey Sandhagen, Petr Yan in the co-main event, 5 rounds for the interim bantamweight belt. Islam Makhachev, Dan Hooker, top 10 and top 5 lightweight fighters in a 3-round fight. Alexander Volkan, Marcin Tybura, 2 top 10 heavyweight fighters right there. Hamza Chimaev, Jinglian Li, a top 15 welterweight and a unbeaten welterweight right there. Magomed, Ankalaev, Volkan Ozdemir, top 10 light heavyweights, top 15 women's strawweights, and Virna, Jandiroba, Amanda Ribas. That is barely just the main card and one of the prelims. And it's already so stacked. I would not care if all of these fight cards were on one card. I would pay a pay-per-view money to watch that, but we're getting it all for free. Absolutely insane. Volkov could be a main event. Jinglian Li could be a co-main event. Islam Dan Hooker can definitely be a main event. Ankalaev Ozdemir can definitely be a main event. I can't wait for this card. We got Tukhugov and Ramos in the featherweight division on the prelims. Kopylov, Duraev on the prelims in the middleweight division. Elizeu, Zaleski, who's an absolute beast. Beat guys like Sean Strickland, Luigi Vendaramini, Max Griffin, Lyman Good. Only losing to Jinglian Li and Muslin Salikov. He's just there on the prelims. Shamil, Gamzatov, undefeated light heavyweight guy. Lerone Murphy, undefeated featherweight fighting Makwan Amirkhani. We got Andre Petroski from the Ultimate Fighter. Damir, Ismagulov, Magomed, Mustafaev, and Tagir, Ulanbekov, and Allan Nascimento. How stacked is this card, man? I mean, look at this card, man. It is an absolutely amazing, amazing card. I cannot believe that the UFC just decided to go out there and make this good of a card and say, you know what, the UFC fans have been pretty good. Let's give it to them for free. What? For free? Teixeira, Blachowicz, all of these fights are for free. That is just absolutely insane. But yeah, we're gonna do our full card prediction for literally every single fight on the prelims and on the main card. So if you guys like the video so far, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you guys do get notified for when I post a new video. But we're gonna go on to the first fight right here in the flyweight division. Tagir Ulanbekov and Allan Nascimento in the flyweight division. Tagir Ulanbekov training with guys like Khabib, Islam Makhachev, all of the Dagestani Russian fighters that we've known so well, have amazing wrestling, amazing grappling. That is who Tagir Ulanbekov is training with over there in Russia. He's almost an undefeated fighter with 12 wins and 1 loss, barely only losing to Zolga Ismagulov in a majority decision. Other than that, completely flawless. Armbar, rear naked, 3rd round knockout, 4th round guillotine in the main event. Submission win, joins UFC and then beats Bruno Silva. But the grappling of Tagir Ulanbekov is very solid. The striking is also very good. He's a very tall, very lengthy fighter in this flyweight division. He's going to be a little bit smaller than Allan Nascimento and have a little bit taller reach than Allan Nascimento right there. But usually in his fights, he is a very tall, lengthy guy in the flyweight division. But this time around, it's going to be pretty even there. But overall, if Tagir Ulanbekov is going to win, it's going to be a mainly kickboxing oriented game in the striking, just leg kicking, body kicking, front kicking, just mainly playing the counter punching role as Allan Nascimento does come forward, and as Allan kind of overextend on the boxing combinations, that's where Tagir Ulanbekov is going to try to use that Dagestani wrestling, go down a level change, take down Allan Nascimento with a double leg takedown, get on top, little ground and pound, a couple submission attempts, and use that to grind out a decision. That is the main, oh my god, 95%, that is the main way I do see Tagir Ulanbekov winning, is going to be counter-punching on the feet, kickboxing at range, and then mixing in the takedowns to a decision. Allan Nascimento, his main way of winning is going to be a submission, losing to very solid guys like Bruno Azevedo, Yuka Matoya, and then Raulian Paiva by a split decision. He's got very good grappling with 14 submission wins, 1 knockout, and 3 decisions right there. We already know where he wants the fight to go, and it's going to be to the ground. pretty much every single win is a submission win for Allan Nascimento. So we know if he's going to win, it's probably going to be a submission. The striking, he's got decent power in his hands. I believe only has like 1 or 2 knockouts. That's not where the fight needs to be. Tagir Ulanbekov is going to outpoint him. He throws more volume. He's got a little bit more power. He's a better kickboxer. He's the better counterpuncher, everything like that. So in the striking, that's not where Allan Nascimento wants the fight to be, because Tagir Ulanbekov is going to win the fight on the feet. So the grappling of Allan Nascimento, the submission game of Allan Nascimento is where he needs the fight to go. But even there, I still give a slight advantage to Tagir Ulanbekov with that Dagestani Khabib, Islam Makhachev wrestling and grappling. Now, he's not as good as those guys like Islam and Khabib, but he's got way better wrestling than Allan Nascimento. Maybe not as good at grappling, but if he can keep the fight on the ground, defend the submissions, land some ground and pound shots, and be winning the fight in the striking, I don't see a way for Allan Nascimento to win. He needs a submission, and I don't see him submitting an absolute beast like Ulanbekov, who's got amazing submission defense and never been finished as an MMA fighter. So I see the fight does go all the way. It's going to go the full decision right here. Tagir Ulanbekov outstriking Allan Nascimento on the feet, mixing in the takedowns, defending the submissions, ground and pounding, and winning the fight by a decision right there. My prediction, Tagir Ulanbekov by 30-27 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the flyweight division right there. Damir Ismagulov and Magomed Mustafaev in the lightweight division. Magomed Mustafaev is coming off a loss to Brad Riddell quite a long time ago. 1 year and 8 months ago. Before that, knocking out Rafael Fiziev, who we've seen do amazing things after that loss inside of the UFC lightweight division. Ever since that knockout loss to Magomed Mustafaev, Rafael Fiziev went on a tear, beating Mark Diakese, Alex White, Renato Moicano, and then Bobby Green. But Magomed Mustafaev, very solid spinning kicks, of course. I mean, spinning back kick, knocking out Rafael Fiziev. Before that, getting a first round knockout win, second round knockout win, first round knockout win, and a bunch of other knockout wins. Every single win on this man's record is a finish. 10 knockout wins and 4 submission wins. I don't think he's going to get a submission on a guy like Damir Ismagulov. So the main way I would see Magomed winning would definitely be a knockout. We saw the last fight with Damir Ismagulov as when he fought let's see, Rafael Alves in the last fight. He kind of got rocked a little bit in the first round and almost got knocked out towards the end of that third round. The chin of Damir Ismagulov, it's a little iffy. I mean, he of course recovered and came back and won the fight by unanimous decision, but even losing a round to a guy like Rafael Alves, who like landed a shot like that, almost rocked you a little bit in the striking. If Rafael Alves can do that, he's nowhere near the power of Magomed Mustafaev. Magomed's power is way better than Rafael Alves. So I think Magomed Mustafaev has a very good shot of going out there, keeping the fight at range. As Damir Ismagulov maybe goes for a takedown or something, he throws up a knee, throws up a spinning body kick, spinning head kick, something like that, and could definitely knock out Damir Ismagulov. I think the way, since he's going to be 2 inches smaller in terms of height, 3 inches smaller in terms of reach, Magomed literally needs to just come forward, get Damir Ismagulov's back to the cage, and literally just start ripping hooks, ripping overhands, and looking for that knockout blow on Damir Ismagulov, because we know that's going to be the way he wins. Damir's going to go out there with a very wrestling, grappling heavy game plan, kickboxing at range, just staying away from that power of Mustafaev, mixing in the wrestling, mixing in the grappling to a decision most likely. That is how Damir Ismagulov is going to win. That is the most likely outcome here because of how good of a grappler and wrestler Damir is, but it's not one that I would say minus 275. It's a much closer fight than almost 3-1 favorite on Damir Ismagulov. I do think Magomed could definitely win the fight. I'm still going to go Damir Ismagulov, probably like a 29-28 decision. In the wrestling and grappling game, but I would not be surprised if Magomed Mustafaev goes out there and gets a knockout. You should not be that big of a favorite over some guy that just knocked out Rafael Fiziev and has knocked out so many other guys with a 100% finish rate. This is not one to be betting on. It's a very close fight. I'm going to lean Damir Ismagulov because he does have the grappling and wrestling advantage. He's going to keep the fight pretty even on the feet, stay away from the power, mix the wrestling and grappling, and win the fight by decision. Again, don't bet the fight. I mean, it's a way closer than the odds, but my prediction right there for Damir Ismagulov and Magomed Mustafaev is Damir Ismagulov out wrestling, out grappling, and just out point striking on the feet to a decision win right there. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Yaozong and Andrei Petroski in the middleweight division. This is a short notice fight. He's going to be a little bit taller. He's going to be pretty much the same reach right there, but overall, this is a short notice fight. Yaozong was originally supposed to fight Allan Amadovsky. Probably would have gone Allan Amadovsky to win, probably by knockout. He has every single win coming by knockout in the first or second round. That probably would have been my prediction, but now he's going to fight a very, very good wrestler and grappler in Andrei Petroski, and I know this is a perfect second fight for Andrei Petroski inside the UFC, because I already know if Andrei gets a big push in the middleweight division, the fight's like a top 50 middleweight in the world, Andrei's going to get absolutely destroyed in the striking, but Andrei, fighting a guy like Yaozong who does not necessarily have the best takedown defense, got taken down, I believe, 5, maybe 6 times against Cyril Asker, I can definitely see Andrei just going out there, coming forward with some pressure striking, go down for the takedown, and just destroying Yaozong on the ground, TKOing him, submitting him in the first or second round. That is the main way I do see the fight going, because Yaozong he has power on the feet, of course, but the takedown defense really is not there. I have not seen a fight where he is going against a wrestler where he's actually able to defend the takedown. He's never able to defend the takedown. And with Andrei Petroski being the best wrestler, the best grappler that Yaozong has ever faced in his professional MMA career, not the longest MMA career, but still, Andrei should definitely be able to go out there, put on the pressure on the feet, double leg Yaozong ground pound the heck out of him, just like he did in the last fight with Michael Gilmore, and either latch in a rear naked choke submission or get yet another ground pound TKO. Very easy prediction in the middleweight division right there. Makwan Amirkhani and Lerone Murphy in the featherweight division. This is definitely going to go Lerone Murphy's way. I don't necessarily agree that he should be a minus 340, 350 favorite. Seems like a little bit too much. He's going to be a little bit longer in terms of reach, pretty much the same height. Again, minus 340 seems like a little bit much right there, but 10 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw is a very, very solid record. Only getting that 1 draw to Zubaira Tukhugov in a short notice fight. Before that, getting a lot of knockout wins in the first round. Body shot knockout win, first round knockout, and first round knockout. Couple of decisions mixed in there as well. Beating Ricardo Ramos, who's also on the card by first round TKO, and beating Douglas Silva de Andrade, who we just saw absolutely wreck Gaetano Perello. He beat him by unanimous decision, but this fight right here is really going to come down to can Makwan get the fight to the ground. That's really it. I mean, Makwan Amirkhani, we know, has very good dart chokes, anaconda chokes, pretty much anything that you could add choke to it, he's good at those. I mean, he's kind of like a Vicente Luque, but just without the striking, going out there looking to get the takedown and get an anaconda, rear naked, anaconda again, heel hook. That's what he's trying to do. 11 submissions, 1 knockout, and 4 decisions. Out of the losses, only 1 by knockout, and then 4 decision losses right there. It's an interesting one, because I know Makwan Amirkhani can definitely land the takedown, can definitely just sink in that dart choke really, really fast, and get the submission on Lerone Murphy, but Lerone Murphy, I think he's got a solid takedown defense. I haven't really seen a fight, except for the Zubaira Tukhugov fight, which was a short notice fight. I haven't seen too many fights where Lerone Murphy's really out-grappled, out-wrestled, and dominated on the ground. I just have not seen one of those fights. Yeah, the Zubaira Tukhugov, he got taken down quite a lot on that one, but again, it was a short notice. And again, this Makwan Amirkhani Lerone Murphy fight is also going to be a short notice fight, as Amirkhani was supposed to fight Tristan Conley, but the fight got canceled a couple of weeks ago. The fight with Lerone Murphy, Zubaira Tukhugov, it was short notice, as in like a week's time span. This fight is a lot longer. He's got a lot more time to work on the takedown defense, work on the cardio, all of that type of stuff. So I do believe Lerone Murphy will be able to defend the takedown on Makwan Amirkhani, keep the fight on the feet, and with the boxing that Lerone Murphy does possess, he's going to come forward and just start ripping hooks. His body shot, that right shot to the liver, absolutely devastating. He's going to get Makwan's back to the cage and just start ripping hooks, ripping overhands, potentially getting a knockout in the first or second round. But overall, with only 1 knockout loss for Amirkhani, not getting knocked out, They add some Barbosa. I mean, he did get knocked out by Shane Burgos, but that's Shane Burgos, of course. I do think the fight does go all the way. Lerone Murphy by a decision right there, 30-27. I think he defends a takedown for 3 straight rounds and just out-volumes, out-powers, out-pressures, pretty much everything on the feet against Makwan Amirkhani. Lerone Murphy by unanimous decision right there. Michał Oleksiejczuk and Shamil Gamzatov in the light heavyweight division. Michał Oleksiejczuk with 15 wins and 4 losses. Quite a controversial win in the last one over Modestas Bukauskas. I mean, I had Michał Oleksiejczuk winning that fight. That was my official prediction. It was Michał by a decision. I honestly didn't think he won the fight. It was a very close one, but I don't think he did enough to win. But before that, you see his only 2 losses in the UFC to Ovi St. Preux and Jimmy Crute, 2 guys that took him down and got the submission very early on in that fight. That is exactly what Shamil Gamzatov is probably going to look to do. The takedown defense in those fights did not really impress me too much against Ovi St. Preux and against Jimmy Crute. Now, of course, Jimmy Crute is a ranked opponent. Ovi St. Preux, former title challenger, all that type of stuff. But Shamil Gamzatov's wrestling and grappling is pretty much the same as Jimmy Crute, Ovi St. Preux, if not better. I mean, he's got very, very good takedowns, really good double leg, really good body lock takedown against the cage, very, very solid ground and pound, first shot, ground and pound TKO, triangle choke, armbar, knock away, very spread out on how he's winning the fights. 5 knockouts, 5 submissions, and then 4 decision wins are right there. Overall, I don't think we're going to see the fight go all the way. I do think Shamil Gamzatov is going to go out there, keep the fight at range. They're gonna box for a little bit. Not really much of a kicker is Shamil Gamzatov. Not really as much of a kicker as Michał Oleksiejczuk. The fight will stay on the feet. They're going to box for a little bit for at least half of the first round. Then Shamil's going to come forward with his signature jab to overhand right, then down to a double leg takedown. Get the fight on top of Michał Oleksiejczuk, ground upon the heck out of him, and either sink in that rear naked choke submission, or he's going to get the ground upon TKO. That is my prediction right there. I don't like the takedown defense of Michał Oleksiejczuk, and I do like the takedown offense of Shamil Gamzatov. He's going to throw some big shots on the feet, get Michael backing up, land the double leg, ground upon him, and get the submission or ground upon TKO. But really good fight right there in the light heavyweight division. Elizeu Zaleski and Benoit Saint-Denis in the welterweight division. We got an undefeated up-and-coming fighter, 25 years old, almost 26 years old in about 1 or 2 months. But he's going to be fighting an absolute beast in Elizeu Zaleski. If you look at Elizeu Zaleski's wins and losses, only losing recently to Jinglian Li, a ranked opponent in the welterweight division, and then Muslim Salikov, another ranked opponent in the welterweight division. Before that, beating Alexei Kushenko, a Bellator champion, Curtis Millender, a guy fighting in the PFL, knocking out Luigi Venturamini. That's very, very impressive. Knocking out Sean Strickland, a middleweight fighter, I believe number 6 or number 7, beating Max Griffin by a decision, Lyman Good by a decision, Omar Yakhmedov knocking him out in the 3rd round. I mean, just look at that win streak right there. Curtis Millender, Luigi Strickland, Max Griffin, Lyman Good, Omar Yakhmedov. That is an absolutely amazing, amazing record. Only losing to those 2 guys and then Nicholas Dalby by a split decision. Absolutely insane. But we know what he's trying to do. He's going out there looking for that finish. He loves to do some spinning kicks on the feet. Spinning kicks to the body, flying knees. He's got really, really good knees in the clinch. I mean, if he can get you tired enough, like a guy like Benoit Saint-Denis is mainly going out there to wrestle and grapple, and look for the arm triangle, look for the rear naked. In that type of fight, Elizeu Zaleski with amazing takedown defense, Benoit Saint-Denis is going to get very tired very, very fast. And a lot of fights, Elizeu Zaleski is really able to get his opponents very tired. And once that happens, he starts to up that pace, get their back into the cage, throw those knees right down the middle, right to the jaw or right to the nose of his opponent, and just start whipping hooks. I mean, that's what's going to happen here. The early rounds, and maybe Benoit Saint-Denis can win the first round with the wrestling and grappling, but eventually, with how good of the takedown defense Elizeu Zaleski does have, Benoit Saint-Denis is going to get very, very tired. And in the second and 3rd round, where Elizeu Zaleski is going to have that cardio advantage and He's just going to have the power advantage on the feet. He's going to be just coming forward, putting on heavy pressure. I think we're going to see a finish here. I do think Elizeu Zaleski is going to overcome that first round, come back in the second and third round, and literally just do what he always does. And he's done pretty much all of his wins. Get Benoit Saint-Denis back to the cage, start whipping hooks, pulling that head of Benoit right to the knee over and over again, just like he did to Magomed. And I do think we're going to see a finish here. I got Elizeu Zaleski by TKO in the second or third round right there. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Albert Duraev and Roman Kopylov in the middleweight division. Roman Kopylov, without a doubt, going to be the better striker. Albert Duraev, without a doubt, going to be the better wrestler and grappler. The fight really comes down to, can Albert Duraev land the takedown? And can Roman Kopylov defend the takedown? That's really what it comes down to. But Roman Kopylov coming off a submission loss to Carl Robertson by rear naked choke submission. Albert Duraev coming off a win by neck crank, getting another rear naked, north-south choke, rear naked. A lot of rear nakeds, a lot of neck cranks, just the exact way that Roman Kopylov ended up losing that last fight. If you want a UFC stats right here to check the stats on that fight with Carl Robertson, if we can check it right here. Let's see right here. He's going to be, yeah, right here. He got taken down in that final round. It was mainly a striking fight up until then. Roman Kopylov pretty much kept it pretty even. The first round went Roman. The second round went Carl Robertson. And the third round, when Carl Robertson decided to wrestle and grapple, he ended up latching that rear naked choke submission. And if a guy like Roman Kopylov, or a guy like Carl Robertson can go out there and submit Roman Kopylov in the third round. Yeah, Carl Robertson is decent wrestling, decent grappling, all that type of stuff, but nowhere near the wrestling and grappling of Albert Duraev. If we can see that Carl Robertson can submit Roman Kopylov, I have no doubt thinking that Albert Duraev can do the exact same thing. The last fight, he just put on the pressure on the striking, got Kyle Bittencourt's back to the cage on Dana White's and hitter series, got the takedown, ground upon it for a bit, got the back, and then sunk in that rear naked. That's exactly what's going to happen yet again. I think we're going to see another finish pretty much the exact same way by rear naked choke submission. I don't think we're going to see anything else. Pretty much Albert Duraev just dominating. I mean, I don't see any other way. Roman Kopylov has good striking, really devastating body shots on the regional scene over there in Russia, but overall, he's fighting Albert Duraev, a much better wrestler and a much better grappler. So I'm going to go Albert Duraev by rear naked choke submission in the first and second round. A really good fight in the middleweight division. Zubaira Tukhugov and Ricardo Ramos in the featherweight division. This is another one of those fights. How in the world am I going to predict it? I mean, we have Ricardo Ramos, 15 wins, 3 losses, the underdog in the fight, a little bit younger, a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier, so he's going to have all of those advantages. He's really good at the spinning stuff, spinning elbows, spinning kicks to the body, all of that crazy stuff. I mean, you got a spinning back elbow on Ayman Zahabi, absolutely insane. He keeps on trying the exact same thing in pretty much all of his fights, but 7 submission wins, 3 knockouts, and 5 decisions. The submission game goes Ricardo Ramos. The wrestling game goes Zubaira Tukhugov, fighting in Russia with guys like Khabib, Islam, all those type of guys. So the wrestling goes Zubaira, the grappling goes Ricardo. I don't know if that's going to cancel out or anything like that, but it is very even on the ground. And of course, in the striking, it is also going to be very even. That is why it's one of those fights. How in the world am I going to predict it? But I do think the first round is going to go Zubaira Tukhugov. He's going to go out there with a high pressure game, looking to get Ricardo Ramos' back to the cage and just try to throw a lot of volume in that first round. Maybe mix in a takedown or 2 to secure the round at the end. Second round, do the exact same thing. And I do think by that point where he's putting on that much pressure, throwing that much volume, that's where Zubaira Tukhugov is really going to start to gas in that third or towards the end of that second round, and that's where Ricardo Ramos is really going to start making the comeback, but I think it's going to be too late. I think the first 2 rounds go Zubaira Tukhugov, and then the final round, the third round, will go Ricardo Ramos. He's got better cardio. Is going to be the better striker later on in the fight, the better grappler later on. So, third round goes Ricardo Ramos. First round goes Zubaira Tukhugov. Second round, I really have no idea. It can definitely go either way, because that's the point where Zubaira kind of starts to gas a little bit. It really depends on how much effort and how much volume and pressure he's really putting out in that very first round. We have no idea how much, but I think Zubaira Tukhugov could be able to keep the fight even in that second round and end the round with another takedown and end edge out that second round. It's a very, very close fight. Not a fight that I'd be like 100% Zubaira Tukhugov, 100% Ricardo Ramos. This fight can definitely go either way. I don't agree with -165. I probably -110, -110. 50-50 fight right here in the featherweight division. Could definitely go either way. But I'm going to go Zubaira Tukhugov, keeping the fight very even on the feet with a lot of pressure striking, getting Ricardo's back to the cage, throwing volume, and mixing in the takedowns, winning the first round and winning the second round, losing the third round to a 29-28 decision. Really good fight in the featherweight division right there. Amanda Ribas and Virna Jandiroba in the women's strawweight division. Of course, Amanda Ribas is going to be the way better striker right here. I mean, if you watch the fight with Mackenzie Dern and Virna Jandiroba, it's pretty sad. If you're getting outstruck by Mackenzie Dern, that just means you don't got the best striking. She also lost to Carla Esparza a couple of years ago, but Amanda Ribas absolutely destroyed Mackenzie Dern in the striking. That fight was 3 rounds of absolute striking, where Amanda Ribas just outstruck her for that unanimous decision. Virna Jandiroba got outstruck by Mackenzie Dern. That is something you don't really want to have on your record. To be outstruck by Mackenzie Dern, that's pretty sad to be in my opinion right there. To be outstruck by a girl like Mackenzie Dern. So of course I'm going to give the striking advantage to Amanda Ribas. She's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. She's going to have the power advantage with 10 wins and 2 losses, having 3 knockout wins on a record. I don't think she has any knockout wins inside the UFC, mainly on the regional scene, but she is going to have the power advantage coming off a knockout loss to Marina Rodriguez, who we saw just do absolutely amazing since that win over Amanda Ribas, of course. But this fight right here against Amanda Ribas and Virna Jandiroba, if the fight stays in the feet, and if Amanda Ribas is able to defend the takedowns of Virna Jandiroba, she's going to win the decision. She's going to win a 30-27, 30-27, maybe a 29-28 decision right there. If Virna Jandiroba can get the takedown, I do believe she has slightly better grappling, maybe a little bit better submission skills, and can definitely submit Ribas or just get a decision on the ground. It really depends on if Ribas can defend the takedown. It's such a hard fight to predict, because how do you know if Ribas is going to actually be able to defend the takedown? I have no idea. I mean, it's a very 50-50 fight. Another one of those, I would probably say -110, -110. If Virna gets the fight down, she wins. If Ribas gets the fight down, or if she can keep the fight on the feet, she's going to win the fight. I'm going to slightly lead Ribas to win the fight because her grappling is pretty even to Virna. Virna will still have the advantage, but Ribas' advantage in the striking game is much bigger than Virna Jandiroba's advantage on the ground. I think it's a very even fight. Going to go slightly towards Ribas by a 29-28 decision, but would not be surprised if Virna can out-wrestle, out-grapple Amanda Ribas to maybe a submission or maybe to a 29-28 decision. Really close fight in the women's strawweight division. Can definitely go either way. Magomed Ankalaev and Volkan Oezdemir in the light heavyweight division. Volkan Oezdemir coming off a knockout loss to Yuri Prochazka. Before that, beating Ilir Latifi and Alizin Rakic. Before that, losing to some very solid title challengers. I believe, yeah, all of them are at least title challengers right there, but he's got some really solid boxing. He actually almost knocked out Yuri Prochazka in that first round of the fight at UFC 251. He almost knocked him out. That is a very cool thing to say, that Volkan Oezdemir almost knocked out Yuri Prochazka, who we just saw go destroy Dominic Reyes in their fight. But Volkan Ozdemir's main way of winning is to come forward, get Magomed Ankalaev on the back foot, get his back to the cage, throw boxing combinations, and knock out Magomed Ankalaev. That is the best way Volkan Oezdemir is going to win the fight, but I don't see that happening. Magomed Ankalaev, same reach right there, a little bit of a height advantage, way better kicking game, high kicks, that front kick shown on Dolce Lungyambula. I mean, he knocked out Ian Kutalaba twice, then he beat Nikita Krylov, but he's going to have the wrestling advantage. We saw him absolutely destroy Nikita Krylov in the wrestling and grappling to a unanimous decision. Only one loss to Paul Craig by a third round triangle. Any fight he would have won if it had gone either gone the whole entire way, but he ended up losing that fight right there. Overall, this fight right here with Volkan Oezdemir and Magomed Ankalaev, Volkan needs a knockout. If he does not get the knockout, Magomed is gonna have the advantage in the feet in terms of volume. The boxing is gonna be pretty even. The kicking game way heavily favoring Magomed Ankalaev, and the wrestling of Magomed Ankalaev is way better. So if Volkan does not get the knockout, I see Magomed Ankalaev kicking at range, landing some really big shots, maybe almost knocking out Volkan Oezdemir on the feet, and eventually going back to a little bit of a wrestling and grappling game plan, and just going out there and winning the fight by decision. But I give the advantage to Ankalaev on the feet, in the clinch, in the wrestling, in the grappling, everywhere the fight goes. I give Ankalaev the advantage. But it is the fight in the light heavyweight division. Volkan has a lot of power in his hands, so I would not be surprised if Volkan can get a knockout right here on Magomed Ankalaev. But I do think Magomed will be able to keep the fight at range, use the kicks at range, and mix in some takedowns to a decision. 30-27 unanimous decision for Magomed Ankalaev right there. Really good fight in the light heavyweight division. Jinglian Li and Khamzat Chimaev in the welterweight division. Jinglian Li with an 18-6 record, knocking out Santiago Ponzinibbio in his last fight right there. Before that, losing to Neil Magny, and before that, on an absolute tear over Elizeu Zaleski, another beast on the fight card. David Zawada knocking him out, and then Daichi Abe only losing to Jake Matthews, Nordin Taleb, a couple other guys earlier in his career, but he's been doing very good recently. The power in Jinglian Li's hands is absolutely insane. That knockout, that counter left hook on Santiago Ponzinibbio, absolutely insane. In the striking, I definitely give the advantage to Jinglian Li. The height and the reach goes Khamzat Chimaev. The speed advantage does go Khamzat Chimaev. The power goes Jinglian Li. The wrestling, the grappling, of course, goes Khamzat Chimaev, but this one really comes down to how much time Khamzat Chimaev it keeps the fight on the feet. If Khamzat plays the whole entire 15 minutes in the striking, I'm going to go Jinglian Li by a knockout, but the fact that Khamzat Chimaev is going to be using that wrestling to set up the strikes, or use the strikes to set up the wrestling, either way, is going to make it so hard for Jinglian Li to land his boxing combinations, because even if Jinglian Li lands a strike, Khamzat Chimaev is going to throw one back and then go down for a double leg takedown. His wrestling and the grappling is going to be such a thought in Jinglian Li's mind that he's really going to not want to commit on those power shots that he's usually looking to land, which are going to be the main way to beat Khamzat Chimaev, is to go for powerful shots and look for the knockout on Khamzat Chimaev. He's not going to really be able to do that, because if he goes for those powerful shots, he's going to get taken down. So it's a really even fight. I don't think it should be minus 450. That's absolutely insane. Jinglian Li has the striking advantage, has the power advantage, but because of the fact that right when he's going to be throwing that boxing combination, coming forward and trying to land some hooks on Khamzat Chimaev, Khamzat's literally going to go down for a double leg takedown and get the fight to the ground. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Jinglian Li. Jinglian Li lost a decision to Neil Magny. Lost a decision to Jake Matthews. Yeah, he got submitted by Kaito Nakamura back in 2015. But other than that, that is his only submission or knockout loss on his record. I don't think we see a finish. I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to go out there, keep the fight on the front foot, pressure Jinglian Li, take him down in the first or second round, and just keep on doing that for every single round to a unanimous decision right there. Yeah, no finish for Khamzat. Maybe a finish for Jinglian Li. Again, he should not be that big of a favorite, but really good fight in the welterweight division right there. Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tybura in the heavyweight division. Alexander Volkov, we already know, is going to have that kickboxing advantage. The boxing advantage is all going to go Alexander Volkov. 33 years old. He's going to be younger. He's going to be a heck of a lot taller and a heck of a lot longer than Marcin Tybura, but Marcin is on a very solid win streak, beating Walt Harris, beating Greg Hardy, Ben Rothwell, Maxim Grisham, Sergey Spivak. A lot of very solid wins. He wasn't doing too good back in 2019 and 2018, getting knocked out by Derek Lewis, knocked out by Shamil, knocked out by Augusto Sakai, and just like all those knockout losses right there, Derek Lewis was able to keep that fight on the feet and knocked him out in the third. Shamil knocked him out in the second, and then Augusto Sakai knocked him out of the first. All of those guys were pretty much able to defend the takedowns of Marcin Tybura and knock him out on the feet. I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Alexander Volkov will keep the fight on the feet, defend the takedowns, because the only guy that was really able to out-wrestle Volkov, was the best wrestler in the heavyweight division in Curtis Blades. So I don't think Marcin Tybura is going to be able to out-wrestle, out-grapple Volkov. If he does land a takedown, Volkov will be able to get the fight back up on the feet. Volkov's got better cardio. He's been in 5-round fights many times. So I think the fight is going to be a finish for Volkov in the second or third round when Tybura does gas a little bit. So second to third round, Tybura in the back of the cage, and Volkov just teeing off with a left hook, right hook, and getting the TKO on Marcin Tybura. Really good fight in the heavyweight division right there. Islam Makhachev and Dan Hooker in the lightweight division. Dan Hooker taking the fight on short notice, replacing Rafael dos Anjos, but this fight is going to be a good one, man. Dan Hooker coming off a very solid win in his last fight over Nasser Hakbaras. Before that, losing to Chandler and Dustin Poirier, beating Ally Quinta, Paul Felder, James Vick, Gilbert Burns, Jim Miller, Mark Diakese. A lot of very solid guys in the lightweight division, but overall, of course, I'm going to go Islam Makhachev to win. He's a minus 650 favorite, 20 wins and 1 loss. The only way I see Islam losing this fight is going to be a knockout. The only loss on Islam Makhachev's record is Adriano Martinez by first-round knockout. That's exactly what Dan Hooker needs to do to win, because we already know Islam's defensive striking is very good. He doesn't eat a lot of damage as he's coming in to land the takedown. He's just very good. He's very defensively sound. He's going to come forward with a lot of volume, a lot of pressure, defending the strikes of Dan Hooker, coming in with a takedown, maybe a body lock takedown, maybe a single leg. I have no idea what takedown he's going to go for, but he has the wrestling, he's got the grappling, and he's going to stay on top of Dan Hooker for 3 straight rounds, and most likely win the fight by decision. I don't think Dan Hooker is going to get submitted or TKO'd or anything like that. He's been knocked out by Michael Chandler, Edson Barbosa, all those type of guys. His only submission loss was way back in Haetan Woo, and Islam Makhachev isn't really the ground and pound type of guy, so he's not going to get the TKO, and because Dan Hooker's submission defense is very solid, I don't think Islam will submit him. And then the fight goes all the way, and Islam does win the fight by decision. But again, Dan Hooker, if he wants to win the fight, the game plan is keep the fight at range, use that height, use that reach, keep on moving on the outside, jabbing 1-2, don't throw any kicks. That's one thing. Dan Hooker just needs to stop throwing the kicks. If he's throwing leg kicks, if he throws body kicks, they can potentially be caught by Islam Makhachev, and it can be an easy single leg takedown for Islam, and it can ruin a whole entire round. So Dan Hooker needs to stay off the kicks, mainly just jabbing 1-2 in that range. If Islam Makhachev is able to close that distance, get the fight to the clinch, he needs to kind of get the underhooks a little bit, get one underhook on the left, on the left arm, and then just start elbowing Islam Makhachev, maybe pulling off. When they're breaking from the clinch, land the knees to the body, and maybe another elbow as they're exiting the clinch. But the elbows and knees in the clinch are going to be the main ways I see Dan Hooker winning, because eventually, of course, Islam will be able to close that distance and clinch up with Dan Hooker, and that is where he really needs to do the damage. The main way I see him winning is not going to be a knockout where Islam goes, whoa, goes like that and gets actually knocked unconscious. The main way I see Dan Hooker winning is actually going to be a cut. I think he might be able to cut Islam Makhachev with one of those elbows, maybe land some knees or something like that and get a TKO win, maybe do the doctor stoppage or something like that. That would be the main way Dan Hooker can win the fight. But overall, I think even with the elbows, even with those knees, Islam Makhachev is just, he's so relentless with those takedowns. Eventually, he's going to get the fight down, and he's going to get the decision winner right there. 30-27 decision for Islam Makhachev. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen for the co-main event and the interim bantamweight belt. Corey Sandhagen is a 2-1 underdog, taking the fight on short notice after losing to TJ Dillashaw, and after Aljamain Sterling pulls out of that fight with Petr Yan. I'm not too sure why, but now this is really for the championship, in my opinion. Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen, probably like the 2 best bantamweights in the world. You can make an argument TJ can be in there. I mean, the fight with TJ and Corey was very even, but Petr, Corey, and TJ are probably the 3 best bantamweight fighters in the world. And Aljamain's probably at number 4, even though he's champion. But overall, Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. Petr Yan, way better boxer. All of the fights with Jose Aldo, Uriah Faber, Jimmy Rivera, all of these fights, that boxing of Petr Yan has shown to be absolutely amazing. There's way more volume than Corey Sandhagen, has way more power than Corey Sandhagen. Yeah, he's going to be a lot smaller, a lot less in terms of reach. But even if he's not winning in the striking, he can definitely just pull on some wrestling and grappling. We saw the fight with Aljamain Sterling. We saw the fight with Jose Aldo. Both fights, we saw Petr Yan attempt a lot of takedowns. He ended up TKOing Jose Aldo, and he ended up absolutely destroying Aljamain Sterling in the wrestling and grappling. So, right here with Corey Sandhagen, I do believe Yan will be able to just outstrike and put on a lot of pressure, a lot of volume on Corey, win the fight on the feet. But even if he's not winning the fight on the striking, mixing the wrestling and mixing that grappling, a lot of ground and pound, and use that to win a decision. I don't think he'll finish Corey. TJ Dillashaw wasn't able to finish Corey. Yeah, Aljamain was able to submit him, but it was due to, I believe it was due to a fence grab, or due to Aljamain putting his toes in the fence or something like that. But I don't think Corey Sandhagen is going to get finished right here. I see the fight going all the way. Petra, heavy pressure in the Boston combinations, mixing in some takedowns in there as well, and winning probably a 49-46 decision. I don't see a way unless Corey Sandhagen can land a head kick, spinning kick, front kick, flying knee, something like that. That's the main way I see Corey winning. But overall, Petra has more volume, better pressure, more power in his hands, better wrestling, better grappling, all of that type of stuff. So I'm going to go Petr Yan winning that fight by decision right there. Really good fight in the bantamweight division. Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira in the light heavyweight division for the light heavyweight belts. Probably the two oldest fighters fighting for the light heavyweight belts of all time. 42 years old and 38 years old. Absolutely insane. We know Glover Teixeira has been doing amazing recently, beating Carl Roberson, Ian Cutelaba, Nikita Krylov, and then 2 main event wins over Anthony Smith in the 5th round where his teeth are kind of falling out, and then he beat Thiago Santos right there. So we know Glover Teixeira, he's very good at fighting off that adversity in the early rounds, because in the Anthony Smith fight, he got hurt bad early on in that one. In the fight with Thiago Santos, he got hurt bad early on in that fight and came back, got the takedown, and got the submission and ground upon TKO. But this fight right here, I don't think Glover Teixeira is going to be able to come back from what Jan Blachowicz has to offer. The power of Jan Blachowicz is way more than Thiago Santos, way more than Anthony Smith, way more than any other fighter Glover Teixeira has ever fought. I mean, we know Jan Blachowicz is known for that Polish power, 28 wins and 8 losses, got a lot of knockout wins on his record. Second round on Luke Rockhold, first round on Corey Anderson, second round on Dominic Reyes right there. We know the power definitely goes to Jan Blachowicz, and I do think that Glover Teixeira is, of course, going to go in there with a wrestling grappling game plan. I don't think he's going to be able to take down a guy like Jan. We know the grappling and wrestling of Jan Blachowicz has been very underrated. I mean, he submitted Nikita Krylov. He submitted Devin Clark. He's got very solid wrestling and grappling. So I believe Jan will be able to defend the takedown on Glover Teixeira, keep the fight on the feet, and knock him out in the 2nd or 3rd round. As sad as it is to say, I do think Jan will be able to knock him out. I don't think Glover's chin at 42 years old is going to be able to stand that Polish power. So my prediction right there, 2nd or 3rd round knockout for Jan Blachowicz. Really good fight in the light heavyweight division. Yeah, that is my full card prediction for UFC 267, Blachowicz versus Teixeira. 15 fights on the entire fight card. I got Jan Blachowicz by knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round, Petr Yan by unanimous decision, Islam Makhachev by unanimous decision, Volkan by a late 2nd or 3rd round TKO, Hamza Chimaev probably by a decision, Magomed Ankalaev by a decision, Amanda Ribas by a decision, Zubaira Tukhugov by a decision, Albert the Ryan by rear and naked choke submission, Elizeu Zaleski in the later rounds by TKO, Shamil Gamzatov by TKO or a submission, Lerone Murphy decision, Andre Petroski inside the distance, ground upon TKO or submission, Damir Ismagulov decision, and Tagir Ulanbekov decision. Really good fight card for UFC 267. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and everything like that, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's go.